So I want you to be now super uncomfortable and watch this video of an interaction between him and none other than Diddy. Take a listen.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher. I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
We're going crazy.
So young Justin Bieber, who was signed by Usher, involved with Scooter Braun, now all of a sudden he's being put in the hands of Diddy, who, it is true, he became the legal guardian for Usher. You can look up all of the allegations of what Diddy did to Usher. A lot of this coming out via multiple lawsuits that essentially, if we were to put it in a nice context, or at least use a euphemism for something that's really disgusting, the allegations are essentially that Diddy very much initiated Usher into Hollywood.
Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, he could buy you one also while you're out.
Got me a Lamborghini.
That's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
When the footage of Diddy with a 15-year-old Justin Bieber resurfaced, the internet didn't just pause, it erupted. The clip is chilling because it shows a superstar in the making, a kid from Canada who only wanted to sing, suddenly placed under the control of one of the most powerful men in the music industry. Diddy is smiling, laughing, bragging about having Bieber for 48 hours and promising to go crazy with him. On the surface, some brushed it off as harmless fun. But once you peel back the layers, it doesn't feel like mentorship. It feels like grooming ground zero.
Unearthing videos of Justin Bieber at Diddy parties. Now, Justin Bieber was obviously extremely young when he entered the industry, extremely innocent when he entered the industry, an industry that he did not quite understand as a boy who just knew how to sing and play the guitar and just did both of those things on YouTube. And then he was scooped up, and suddenly he was a part of people like Diddy going after him and saying, hey man, why don't you pick up my phone calls? There's actually a video of that. Diddy and Justin Bieber looks to be like 15 years old and said, why aren't you picking up my phone calls? And he's like, oh, I know you were trying to contact me through people and I don't have your number. And the next thing we know, Justin is at Diddy's parties.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Correct. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Candace Owens, never one to shy away from controversy, lit a fire under this conversation. She said out loud what millions were already whispering, that Diddy's access to Bieber was not accidental, it was targeted. Diddy had a reputation and the industry knew it. He had influence, wealth, and connections that made him untouchable for decades. And Justin, still a boy at the time, was pulled directly into his orbit. Owens highlighted the timeline, stressing how bizarre it was that a teenage star was suddenly attached to Diddy's hip in public and private moments. Looking back, the red flags are undeniable. Imagine being 15, barely understanding the industry, and having one of the most powerful moguls in music chase you down for attention. Bieber laughed awkwardly, tried to brush it off, but his body language told another story. Owens replayed that footage and asked the most important question: why was this okay? Why did no one step in?
He did an interview back in 2020 with Zane Lowe. I think this was on Apple Music. And he was speaking about another young artist that was coming up, Billie Eilish, and Eilish. And he was basically speaking about how he wanted to protect her because she was now another young person, a rising artist in the industry. And sort of out of nowhere, he became
quite overcome with emotion. Take a listen.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So yeah, it's hard because I want her to know that, she can count on me. But at the end of the day, I'm never gonna force myself to be in a relationship with her. It has to be natural, right? So I just kind of, let her do her thing. And if she ever needs me, I'm gonna be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters and yeah. So yeah, I just want to protect her. I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. So yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
I'm not even kidding. Watching that clip makes me emotional because he is saying so much without really saying anything. And in this one video, it looks like whatever Justin is doing, and I'm not going to show it out of just respect for the fact that I truly believe that Justin Bieber is a victim. But whatever he is doing in this video with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. looks highly suspicious. I can show you a still from that video because I think the relevant part is Justin Bieber is not sober. He is clearly very heavily under the influence at this party. And if you remember that lawsuit that the producer Rodney dropped against Diddy, he said that unbeknownst to all of these people, they were being drugged at Diddy's parties, that they were pouring out the liquor bottles and replacing it with other drugs. He kept
to my limits. Oh, I gotta feel that experience. I'm coming back. It's all good. Happy New Year! Woo!
Behind the scenes, the story gets darker. Owens pointed to lawsuits against Diddy, many of which claim his parties weren't just glamorous events, but environments where control was exercised through substances, manipulation, and silence. Bieber, barely out of childhood, was seen at those parties, surrounded by adults, surrounded by temptation, surrounded by forces way beyond his understanding. One clip that Owens refused to play but described showed Bieber heavily under the influence. Sitting with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr., to the untrained eye, it looked like a teenager having fun. But Owens argued that this wasn't fun. It was exploitation disguised as celebration. The industry played its part. Owens made it clear Diddy didn't do this alone. There were managers, agents, label executives, and media figures who all saw the warning signs. They saw Bieber looking uncomfortable in interviews whenever Diddy was mentioned. They saw his awkward laugh when Diddy brought up Lamborghinis and luxury gifts. They saw his spiral in later years, the emotional breakdowns, the erratic behavior, and the moments of desperation. Yet they said nothing. Why? Because Diddy was too powerful. Owens put it bluntly, power protects power. What makes this story even more tragic is how Bieber himself tried to warn us later in life without directly saying it. In a 2020 interview with Zane Lowe, he became emotional while talking about protecting Billie Eilish, another teenage artist suddenly thrust into the global spotlight. Bieber broke down saying he didn't want her to go through what he went through. He didn't specify what happened, but his tears said everything. Owens connected the dots. This wasn't just stress. It was trauma hidden behind fame. The footage of Diddy bragging about having guardianship of Usher when Usher was young also resurfaced. Owens tied this history together. Diddy had a pattern of attaching himself to young talent, presenting himself as a mentor, but raising serious questions about what really went on behind closed doors. The lawsuits against him suggest a world built on manipulation, not mentorship. Owens asked the question that no one in the industry wanted to confront. Would any normal parent allow their 15-year-old son to spend unsupervised nights with a powerful adult celebrity? When you phrase it like that, the answer is obvious. Yet because it was Diddy, people looked away. This silence is what kept Diddy untouchable for decades. Owens explained how the media even laughed off uncomfortable moments between Bieber and Diddy, labeling them as quirky or funny, but she insisted there was nothing funny about it. It was a red flag that no one took seriously. She blasted entertainment outlets for protecting Diddy instead of protecting a teenager who was clearly vulnerable. According to her, this wasn't gossip, it was systemic neglect. Now, with lawsuits and investigations surrounding Diddy piling up, the walls are closing in. Owens reminded viewers that this is the moment when the truth can no longer be silenced. No more NDAs, no more rewriting history, no more pretending that past behavior was just harmless eccentricity. The footage, the interviews, the lawsuits, they all paint a picture of a man who used power to gain access to those who couldn't protect themselves. And in the center of it all stands Justin Bieber, a young boy whose rise to fame was forever tainted by the shadows cast by Diddy's influence. Candace Owens didn't stop at Bieber. She said Justin's case is just one of many. The difference is that Bieber was too famous for the world not to notice. But behind every big name, there are countless others whose stories never made headlines. Owens said the entertainment industry has always had a problem protecting predators instead of children. Diddy was just the face of that problem. He was rich, connected, and shielded from scrutiny for years. That kind of protection made him more dangerous than anyone realized. As Owens' segment continued, she turned the conversation to parents. She looked into the camera and asked viewers a hard question. Would you let your teenage child spend nights with a celebrity unsupervised? The answer, of course, is no, but that's exactly what was normalized in Hollywood. Owens said this should terrify parents because Bieber's story isn't rare. It's just one of the few we can actually prove happened. She insisted that parents need to be vigilant because fame doesn't protect children, it exposes them. The narrative Owens built is one of a system cracking under its own weight. The lawsuits are public, the testimonies are piling up, and former allies are distancing themselves from Diddy. Owens emphasized how quickly the tide is turning. For decades, people feared speaking out against Diddy because of his influence. But now, as the truth begins to surface, that fear is evaporating. She called this the beginning of the end for Diddy's iron grip on the industry. One of the most powerful moments came when Owens replayed old interviews with Bieber, showing him visibly uncomfortable whenever Diddy came up. His nervous laughter, his dodging of questions, and his unwillingness to elaborate were signs that something was wrong. Owens contrasted this with how the media brushed it off as innocent fun. She slammed them for failing to investigate, for protecting their access to Diddy instead of protecting Bieber. The present moment is damning. Diddy is facing lawsuits that accuse him of creating an environment where silence was enforced and control was maintained at all costs. Owens explained that the wealth, the private jets, the mansions, the luxury cars, these weren't just symbols of success, they were tools of manipulation. Diddy used them to lure, to impress, to control, and Justin Bieber was one of the kids caught in that web. Owens concluded her message with urgency. If we want to protect the next generation of artists, the silence has to end now. This isn't about celebrity gossip or drama. It's about accountability. Diddy used his position to surround himself with vulnerable talent, and too many adults helped him do it. Owens said this is what real exposure looks like, not rumors, not speculation, but facts. Hard, uncomfortable facts. And those facts are staring us in the face. The old footage is there, the lawsuits are there, the testimonies are there, the emotional breakdowns from Justin Bieber himself are there. The pattern is too clear to ignore. For decades, the industry let Diddy thrive unchecked. But now, the walls are closing in, and the truth is breaking through the silence. Owens' words resonated because they weren't just about Diddy. They were about an entire system of power, money, and fame that allowed exploitation to masquerade as mentorship, Bieber was one of the lucky ones because he survived and is still here to tell his story, even if he never fully says it out loud. Others may not have been as fortunate. The final blow Owens delivered was a reminder. Fame can't excuse predatory behavior, and power can't shield it forever. The evidence is stacking up, the silence is cracking, and the world is finally beginning to see Diddy for who he really is. And once the truth is out, there's no going back.